Hi guys, here we go. First little snippet here. I'm trying to use up scraps, although technically these aren't scraps, these are just a bag of bits I could not resist. What I've done here is make a quick little heart block. Okay, you'll have to forgive me because I'm trying to make this video myself because obviously we are in lockdown. You can do these blocks with foundation paper piecing and other methods. I'm not a huge fan of foundation paper piecing, but here's a quick way of doing it. So I'm on 2.5 inch strips by 5 inches. Okay, and then I've got 2 1.5 inch squares for each one of these 2.5 inch strips. And then 1 2.5 inch square. Okay, so if you've got jelly roll odds and ends knocking around, this could be quite a good one. Each one of these squares in the white, I've actually marked, I've pressed it here, but you can mark it with a friction pen so that you can see it, because that is where you're going to stitch it through. This is the technique we use for snowball making. Okay, so just going to fit that into the corner and then just going to run where I've actually pressed it down. So as I say, if you want to mark this with, say, a friction pen or something, you'd find it much easier to see. Once we've done one, snip it away so that you've got your 1/4 inch, and then take it to the ironing board if you want, or just run your nails across it. This is the great thing about having lots of time on your hands. Look at my nails. I have a daughter at home. Nothing else to do apart from do my nails. Marvellous. So next thing you do, you're going to do exactly the same across this corner here. This time I'm going to mark it for you so that you can hopefully see better, guys. There we go. Because you've now folded that open, so this one's going to come across. And you remember when we're doing things like flying geese and stuff like that, we have to press that first one back, because when we get to this point and I snip it away, you end up with this at the top so that you can rescue your points. Don't forget, points win prizes. Oh dear, this is only day 3. Oh my goodness. We're all going to be potty by the end of this, aren't we? Okay, so that's 1/2 of the heart. Once I've done that, the next thing to make the bottom of the heart is this one here, which is your bigger square. Okay, so if we look at this one, for example, now when you're doing we are doing 2 halves of a heart, so make sure you're going in the right direction and that you take off the right corner. Can you see there? Look, so that one's on that side. No, you can't see, hang on. That one's on that side and this one's going to be on this side. Okay, so I'm going to put that in. I'd try and zoom out, but I think I'd probably end up absolutely losing the whole thing. So let's just, this is literally the most awkward setup known to man. I mean, if someone had warned me we were going to be in lockdown, I probably would have done some kind of a YouTube set of courses. Right, so snipped that away. Same thing, press it out, and lo and behold, you have 1/2 a heart. And obviously, 2 halves make a whole. Remember when you put your 2 halves together, match up, and it's quite easy to see here, match up these little bits here and use the pinning technique so that you can actually go through the seam. We use this a lot when we're trying to match seams, and then check how it's doing on the underneath. Not very well by the look of that. There we go. Would be so much easier if I didn't have a camera and a tripod-y thing between me and the sewing machine. But anyway, I'm sure by the end of however many weeks this is, I'll be practically an Oscar-winning director. If only I was directing. You see, my director, this is the problem. My cameraman and director is now locked up herself with 2 small children. So frankly, I think I'm in the best place here. Here we go. We're going to run down. Join these sides. Take your pin out. I've got usual thing. I've done the 1/4 inch on the side of my foot rather than use my my 1/4 inch, because otherwise you've just got to keep chopping and changing. Unless you've got one of the, if you've got one of the Clearview where you don't have to put the lip on it for a 1/4 inch foot, then that's ideal. There we go. Open that up and there we go. We've got a little heart and it almost matches up in the corner. Okay, so if I now bring that back, because I don't need to use the sewing machine. Once you've got a row of these, what I did to speed the process up is I've cut 1.5 inch strips and 2.5 inch strips of the white, so I can just cut all my squares off as I go, the 2.5 inch, and then I've put a 1.5 inch strip in between, because I think that will probably be about enough. Once I've got a row of those done, and you know, I've got enough fabric over here. Look, there's a pile, probably to do about 150 hearts. That would make quite a sizable quilt, wouldn't it? Or I could just do some cushions, or I could just do some table runners or something like that. If you want to do these by hand rather than by machine, exactly the same process but using your back stitch, and at that point probably easier to actually iron the seam in there so that you can stitch along that seam and then trim up. So you don't need to paper piece, you can literally just wing it. I've said this before actually, that you know, this is how they piece in America rather than using paper piecing as we do over here, hence the term English paper piecing as opposed to patchwork piecing. So that's why you get the difference. So sometimes if you find a pattern and it says, it doesn't say FPP, which is foundation paper piecing, it just says a pieced, hand pieced pattern. In America it would be like that, it wouldn't necessarily have papers. Okay, so there we go, a quick one, really good stash buster, because they're actually so small, and if your stash is running low, although frankly I don't believe that, you could always just use a sheet. You know me, quite happy to cut up sheets and pillowcases. Oh my goodness, we'll have no bedding by the end of this, will we? Okay, so that's just a quick one to keep you going for now, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye.